Welcome, everyone. My name is Carrie Francey, and I have the pleasure of being the moderator for today's session. I am a Vice President at Information Builders, a BI and data analytics company, and today we're going to spend some time talking about creating IoT offerings to make your business smarter. So let me ask you, who doesn't love going to the beach and soaking up the sun, eating great food and spending quality time with your friends and family? But most importantly, as a tourist, what we love most is when we dig deep and find those hidden gems and create lifelong memories. But what we don't often think about on our vacations is that we're actually in the world of digital transformation and what part the technology plays in our day-to-day lives. Or more recently, how the Internet of Things is helping make our experiences much better and more seamless. Did you know that Gartner predicts that over 34 billion devices will be connected to the Internet in 2020? So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how IoT is being leveraged in the business-to-business arena to improve efficiencies in business and our individual lives. Analysts have predicted in the business space that IoT tech, apps, and market solutions will reach over 267 billion by 2020. And that IoT analytics component will alone generate about 24 billion by 2020. For businesses, the Internet of Things is enabling better, faster business decisions. Rather than relying on static, infrequent reports to optimize operations, organizations can now take and connect business processes and systems to the Internet. An example of this is just very simply customer relationship management or enterprise resource planning. And through the mass explosion of machine sensors and networks, it's now possible to link consumers with businesses. So today, what we wanted to do is we want to spend some time talking about the market and then also providing examples for you to help you better understand some of the opportunities out there. I have the absolute pleasure of having two industry experts with us today. First of all, a gentleman I've had the pleasure of working with, Dr. Tom Bradich, who is the Vice President of IoT Solutions at HPE, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. He's also an industry leader and a public speaker in the IoT and business transformation space. Welcome, Tom. And then secondly,
thank you.
And then secondly, Chaitra Vendapalli, who is also a co-founder of Women in Cloud, which is an organization that is designed to impact women tech entrepreneurs in ways that have the greatest impact to revenue and to the economy. The mission for Women in Cloud is to inspire, empower, and accelerate the growth of women-led tech companies in the cloud computer era. The second thing, Chai is not only the founder of Women in Cloud, she is also a phenomenal business leader, and she owns a company called Mela, who is a premier global cloud solution provider. Her company is recognized as one of the top influencers in the cloud, IoT, and AI industry. She's recently launched Smart City Tourism IoT Solutions and developed in collaboration with HPE, Azure Cloud, and Mela Labs to attract and grow regional tourism, to empower merchants and to participate in the digital economy while expanding rural broadband to the communities. This IoT solution that both Dr. Tom and Chaitra have developed is through Smart City Tourism. It leverages cloud computing technologies to create a modern workplace where citizens and tourists can visit, work, play, and live. So let's jump into it. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about three things today. First, the principles of IoT and how these principles will help customers and businesses thrive. Secondly, using some examples of successful organizations that are thriving in this space, particularly in the tourism space. And then last, the glue that connects the intelligent edge and the intelligent cloud, and that's really data. So I'd ask that folks please remember to post your questions. We will monitor your questions throughout the course of this 50-minute webcast. We want to hear from you to make sure that we're maximizing your value. So Chaitra and Tom, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So the first question that I have, I'll ask of you, Chai. So you just launched your Smart City Tourism solution. You developed with IoT and AI. Can you really share with us the journey on how you went about building your solution?
Sure, Carrie. Thank you for having me on this webinar. 2 years ago, I put together a tech coalition called Ignite Washington to drive digital equity and readiness for businesses in the state of Washington. And the initiative was really to drive change by influencing policies for rural broadband and connectivity, and partnering with Department of Commerce and SBA to drive education for local businesses and merchants to adopt modern cloud tech and digital commerce solution. And also put together unique public-private partnerships to really advance the businesses in the cloud tech era. The most interesting was we were in one of the trips to Ritzville in Washington, where we were meeting with all the local ADOs, where we were talking about economic development, and everybody was taking notes. And I had to take a call and had to get on the Skype, but I couldn't because I had to walk 10 minutes to go get that work done because there was no public Wi-Fi available. And the more we talked about it, the more I went in and had a discussion, it dawned to all of us that they didn't have a public Wi-Fi infrastructure that was easily. The cellular coverage was not good. And then the more we looked around, the local businesses in the downtown area was empty. So one of we brainstormed and put together a case for rural broadband. And as part of that, there were some new realities that we realized. The first one was the economic development is powered by creating demand for local merchants and businesses via tourism and citizen engagement. And to make that happen, the public Wi-Fi is the new electricity, and everybody needs it. And the tourist actually needs it because that is a minimum expectation they had. The smart city innovation were complex, and what we recognized was because the ecosystem to drive smart cities required a lot of public-private partnership, and the innovation with the partners was the secret sauce. We also recognize the modern tourist journey needs to be secure, seamless, and personalized, and the digital transformation with IoT, AI, and big data is here to stay. So what we had to really provide to the smart city innovation was it has to be affordable and sustainable. So when you think about tourism, a little stats around that, it creates like a $2.3 trillion opportunity in revenue, and it's like the 7th largest employer in the public sector. So when you think about connecting the smart city, which today does not focus on tourism, but if you bring those two together, which is the citizen engagement and tourist engagement, that is where the magic sauce is. Every city, town, and country has a potential to drive the tourism revenue and drive the economic prosperity by optimizing their travel experience. So what we did was we went to the Department of Commerce, said is, hey, which of the cities would be interested? We had the Greater Grace Harbor raise their hand saying they want to be the first town that want to be a smart town. And we came back, spent time at HPE and Microsoft leadership, and put together a smart city, smart tourism IoT solution which solves two specific problems. One, we bring in the Wi-Fi. We address the parking issue because the tourist really wants to make sure that parking is easy and accessible and safe. And third, the tourists had a fatigue searching for all these activities and point of interest, and restaurants make it easy using AI technology. And the solution was what the safe places that the tourists can go there. From the city perspective, the address was increasing the quality of life, was focusing on job creation, focusing on end-to-end tourist experience, including the safety was number one. And third is the flow of the tourists to the local business, which is creating the crucial demand, it's very important because that's when you drive the lodging tax, and that's where you drive the sales tax, that's where you drive the economic drivers. By pulling all this together, Carrie, what we recognized was the smart city tourism by enabling IoT, which is the intelligent edge and the intelligent cloud, really started powering the economic development digital connectivity and engagement. So that's what the solution we put together. And it took like 6 months to put all the solutions to make this happen.
That's great. A lot of different partners were involved in bringing this together. It's great to hear that it came together so quickly. I'd love to move over to ask Tom a question. So I know that Hewlett-Packard Enterprise has been investing a lot in the IoT space. Can you share with us, there are a couple of things. Number one, the 7 principles that you think about when you're working on IoT solutions with partners and with customers. If you could share a little bit about the principles, that would be, I think, beneficial to our audience today.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And it's really my pleasure to be here and talk about what I'm up to and what my team is up to at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Let me say first, in addition to having a VP and general manager role with IoT systems, I also lead a business unit as general manager that has servers in the cloud and also other edges, where the IoT is just one of the edges, and it's the subject of our discussion. But it's good to keep this all in context, because the intelligent edge, as Chai was referring to, is exploding, and it doesn't have things necessarily, meaning the T in IoT, but it is truly an edge, because my definition of the edge is it's not the cloud. So it's everything else out there. And we've developed some principles around the IoT and these edges. And I think you would agree that the IoT has achieved celebrity status today, and it's the most famous of all edges. And that edge could be your home, in an automobile, a smart city, as Chai was referring to, but also a manufacturing floor. We're selling systems and IoT into drill rigs and oil rigs, as well as I've worked on power plants, which is the edge of a power company, an energy company. The edges are everywhere, a crop field, under the sea, in the sky. Today I was on the phone talking about the military and the combat edge, where there are things called equipment and arms, as well as soldiers, that are connected and need to be controlled. Over the years, I think it was about 6 years ago, I was working at National Instruments, which is an operational edge company, not an IT company. Prior to that, I was a VP and an IBM fellow at IBM, an IT company. And now I'm back in an IT world, but I'm blending the two together. And that's what these principles are all about. It's how does the world of operational technology out at the edge, control systems and sensors, make money for us when we are combining them and, if you will, converging them with the IT world, which is computing and storage and systems management as well. But let me address these 7 principles. I think you'll find them interesting. They're somewhat philosophical, but we've tied them immediately to making money, meaning making business happen. And you can't make business happen, as you know, without delighting the customers and the users. So the first of these principles is that the IoT presents a big data challenge. If you like big data, you're going to love the edge and the IoT edge and the data that's coming from things. But what's interesting about this principle is it's not data that the IT world is used to. No, it's quite foreign. As a matter of fact, it is data that is of analog nature, such as pressure, location, light, like images, sound, velocity, particulates, time. These are all analog phenomena that need to be digitized. And once you understand that it's big, there's big business. So if you have a big data storage business or skills in analytics, like Carrie's company, artificial intelligence, you have an opportunity to handle this data in ways that will make money for the end user and also benefit societal benefits as well. The second one is really intriguing. The second principle, the IoT offers perpetual connectivity. Think about this. What would you do if you were perpetually connected to your customer or your business or your product or your environment or your buildings? And I mean perpetually. One morning I woke up and I looked at my iPhone and there was the Apple Watch app. It was pushed to me because I am perpetually connected to the Apple company, as many of you are to your providers and your ISPs. And I clicked on that app and it was wonderful, and I thought about it, and I saw these very beautiful people, frankly, in very good shape, and they were all excited and healthy, and I said, I want to be like that. What was the inference there? Well, being perpetually connected to a thing called my phone and me, I'm a thing in the mind of Apple and in the mind of my ISP, AT&T, right? When being perpetually connected is, well, Tom, you already have the app. You might as well just go buy the watch. So that's one of the principles here. You can sell up when you're perpetually connected. You can also monitor, not only monetize, 1M, but you can monitor and determine the health or the status of a parking lot or a theme park or a smart city. And then the third is you can manage remotely, and that saves tremendous money in OpEx when it comes to managing things. The third is the data is very fast. It's really real time. Not just real time because it hits a computer. Listen to this. By the time data comes from a machine, like a turbine at a power plant, and hits a computer system, it's too old and useless. Isn't that amazing? Just a matter of microseconds. So therefore, understanding how to leverage the data and derive the insight very early on is very important. And the fourth, I'll speed up here, is there's a spectrum of value to be gained from the sensor to the data acquisition to the IT at the edge all the way back to the cloud. There's value in every one of those four domains of computing. And here's a trade-off that's happening. I tell my students when I teach I'm an adjunct professor. I have been at a couple of universities, and when I also do lectures and keynotes, if you can solve a mutually exclusive objective, you can catapult your customer satisfaction and your business to new levels. What's a mutually exclusive objective? When I was young at IBM, I was working on the first notebook computer. Yes, there was a day where there was not a notebook computer, and I had to do what my manager said. Make a small laptop or notebook computer that is light enough to carry around all day, but also the battery lasts all day. And I said, well, that's a mutually exclusive objective. I can make it light, but the battery will die in 10 minutes, or I can make it, the battery lasts all day, but it's going to be really heavy. And he looked at me and said, well, you're an engineer. Figure it out. Solve the mutually exclusive objective. And we did, not me personally, but the team and the industry solved it. Now you have a light laptop or a notebook, right, you carry around. The battery can last, a long time. And in the IoT, we have this idea that if we collect the data right away from an automobile, say, or from a robotic arm, or from your home, we can process it in a rudimentary way and take action. Oh, the temperature's too hot, turn on the air conditioner. But if we really want deep, deep insights with artificial intelligence and machine learning, we have to go back to the cloud, and that takes a long time. So we have a trade-off. Is it fast but rudimentary, or is it deep but it takes a long time? The reason I bring this trade-off up is because I'm personally with my team seeking to solve it and to annihilate that mutually exclusive objective by moving high-performance computing out to the edge, right at the point of data capture. And then the last two, real quickly, is the next V of big data is visibility. Well, you have to understand what the 4 V's of big data is, and this got famous 10 years ago maybe, right? Volume, velocity, veracity, variety, and now visibility is going to be big. How can I get visible input into the data that's very far away, such as a tractor out in a crop field or a windmill in a wind farm that's very high up and dangerous to get to. And then having remoting technologies to see that data and understand in a smart city or in a smart tourism, where are the people? What are they doing? And how do I manage the organization that they're in to give them a better experience? And then the last one I really like, the edge will become intelligent. Shall I use the term the intelligent edge? What makes intelligent edge? 3 things. Okay, 3 things. Write this down. They begin with a C. The intelligent edge is intelligent because it's connected, or C. It computes, and it controls. And the last thing I'm going to say is the reason, not a reason, the reason somebody would deploy an IoT solution is to control the things, the T in IoT. That is to manage, actuate, and control the things or the business associated with the thing. So in a smart tourism or smart city, we're interested in controlling traffic. We're interested in controlling streetlights. We're interested in crowd control. We're interested in environment and the pleasure that will be experienced. We're interested in controlling the safety. It's all about control. So don't be fooled. It's not about connecting. It's not about the beautiful insights we'll get from the data. Those are useless. What if you went to a physician and he connected to you and he took all this data from you, your temperature, your blood pressure, right? Blood tests, came back, and the specialist comes in and she says, oh boy, do we have a lot of cool data. I've got so much insight. I made so many bar graphs and pie charts, and I can tell you what happened last year and how fast this is growing and how this is staying steady. Have a good day. I'll see you later. And both physicians left. What would you do? You'd say, well, where's the third thing, the action? Where's the control? Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to take medicine? Do I need further tests? You know, all you did was connect with me and compute my data, but you didn't tell me what to do with that insight. So again, the intelligence of control out at the edge is really the mission, the reason. It's everything else is just a means to that end. Okay, I'll turn it back over to you, Carrie.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. You know, I like your point around, you know, it's really what you make of the data, and it's making sure that you're helping people become smarter because of the environment. Do you have just a question from the audience here? You know, you gave a couple of examples around tourism. Are there any other examples that you can provide that that would be insightful for our audience?
Well, I have so many. I do, and it's too bad we don't have enough time. But let me give you one that I really like that's cool. Okay. There's a large auto manufacturer here, and you always have to ask with IoT, this is another piece of advice, what is the T? What is the thing? Don't start with data, don't start with all the technology, but what's the thing, and what do you want to derive from that thing, and how do you want to control that thing, right? And in this auto manufacturer, their things are windshield wipers, their infotainment systems, their electric windows, electric seats, seat warmers. There are all these things inside a car that they want to connect to, acquire data, but then determine if they're working properly, and then actuate them. So we have a system based on the HPE Edgeline systems that are made for the IoT and the intelligent edge that's actually running on these manufacturing floors, and they're collecting the information, and then they're actually making the window go up, the electric window, and turning on the windshield wipers, turning on the infotainment system. See, they're controlling the things in order to determine if they're working so that more cars come out. And when I walked into that manufacturing floor, which was awesome, I took a tour, and the head of IT manufacturing came up to me and said, you know, glad you're here. I hope you can help us. I said, what do you want to do? He said, would you help us put out one more car a day? Just one a day. That's 365 a year times their ASP. That's their revenue, just one more car a day. And by the Internet of Things solution that we deployed, we're able to do that, control the things, their car and their subassembly, to put out one car a day. Then we're going to move to 2 car, then 3. So I know I don't have a lot of time here, but I have other intelligent edge stories that are happening at oil rigs, for example, and drill rigs. The list goes on, but we'll have to address that at another time, maybe a future webinar.
No, and I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you for that. You know, it's interesting. I was at the Information Builders User Conference last week, and I met up with the Michigan State Police Force. And the chief of police there, he's been working on a solution leveraging information builders, but really for their state troopers to help make their streets, their staff, and their citizens even safer. It's interesting because what they're doing is they're really leveraging the real-time data and information that troopers are being able to really bring in from IoT solutions that they have out there. So these troopers are being able to now simultaneously tap in and analyze display streaming data from many of the different sensors out there in their remit. So devices, social media feeds, etc. So they now have the ability, through leveraging different IoT devices, the ability to get smarter. And one of the things I thought was really interesting that they created this offering called MI Intel Search. It's similar to a Google for Cops type of application. So right now, 1,000 troopers and detectives have the ability to now instantaneously leverage information on people, on guns, vehicles, and many other data sources to be able to now really help fight crime, essentially. So it's interesting. You talk about the manufacturing space. I'm talking about SLG. Chai, are there other areas? I know that you've spent a lot of time in the tourism space. Are there other opportunities and areas that you've been using from a company perspective and solutions that you've been pulling together with customers?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Yes. So when you think about the tourism, right, we look at the full landscape from infrastructure, transportation, citizen and tourist engagement, public safety, energy, and utilities. So when you think about the thing, there are the routes, the parking lots, the transit buses, the lighting, water, and sensors. All these things are connected, right? And because of the intelligent edge, you can pull that one. Based on that, we were able to extend, and we were able to give any businesses now is they can help with carbon footprint reduction by doing smart lighting and then doing water management and enabling a smarter grid. So we started from a tourism, but we were able to extend those capabilities to larger organizations because that data meant really valuable. So they were able to take the right action. By taking the right action, they were able to reduce their carbon footprint.
Well, great. Thank you so much. You talked about, I think carbon footprint and really helping from an economic development perspective. So I've heard a lot of things out there these days, using data for good. Do you have any other examples, either Tom or Chai, things that you've seen out there in your insights as to how government organizations and so forth are really unlocking data to drive economic development?
Carrie, one of the things that we are seeing consistently is like the citizen concerns. If they have challenges with, let's say, issues for a citizen, maybe a pothole, maybe the lighting, or maybe a pole that's broken. So what they are able to do is have a way to connect with the city and really drive as a citizen connect solution to really make the city more, have a higher quality of living for them because they're able to connect with the city very quickly. So we are seeing those kind of automations and having a real-time communication with the people who can take action has been very, very, I would say, like a transformative experiences that the citizens are able to realize as well as the city is realizing now.
Okay, great. Yeah, please, Tom.
Yeah, I have many, so I'll just throw out two more. One that I found very interesting, the second largest energy company is Duke Energy in the southeast United States. And the first thing you ask, what's your edge and what's your thing? Well, their edges are power plants. They have about 83 of them spread across. And their things are, for example, turbines and what they call balance of plant. These are things at the plant that, burn fossil fuel, and they generate electricity for our homes and businesses. Those are their things, and condition monitoring and prognostics is the application. It's really cool. They want to predict when a turbine needs maintenance, when it might fail, and when it doesn't need maintenance. And that's equally important. There's a lot of money to be saved when you don't do maintenance that is unnecessary. Isn't that interesting? For example, we were taught as we were growing up, most of you, change the oil in your car every 3,000 miles. Well, you do that as a preventative. What if you didn't have to, right? You went in and it really didn't need the oil change. Well, you do it because you have lack of information. You don't really know if you need it or not. So, quote, just to be safe, unquote, we'll do this. Maintenance on some pumps costs $150,000 to open up only to determine it doesn't need the maintenance anymore. So that's a condition monitoring. How can you avoid a type 1 error and a type 2 error? It's pretty exciting. A type 1 error is you spend the money to maintain it and it didn't need it. A type 2 error is you don't do the maintenance and it breaks, right? And it's catastrophic. And let me throw out another one where you said the government organizations. This has to do with safety. We have unfortunate issues, as you know, in our schools with school shooter tragedies. And one thing that is happening at the edge, the intelligent edge, is called facial recognition. This can be applied to security in this case, but it can also be applied to smart manufacturing and also just surveillance. The whole idea of video surveillance is not new, but the idea that it doesn't need a security guard to watch the screen for rudimentary image processing is rather new, meaning deep analytics. And the idea that one can recognize a person when they set foot on campus, especially if it's a hostile person, right? And one of the recent school shootings, it was known, the facial characteristics, the person had been turned into the FBI, if you follow that story several times. All the information was known. The person was banned from the school, but got on campus, and unfortunately the tragedy took place. The question is, in IoT, if the if the perpetrator is the thing and the sensor is a camera taking in analog data, big analog data because it's spatial images, and it's processed at the edge, immediately one could recognize and perhaps alert, the authorities. And in this case, I think you'd agree, even 30 seconds of savings of time would be crucial in saving lives and stopping something terrible like this. So those are two things that we're involved in that are pretty exciting because they offer not only business benefit, but in the latter case, it offers a societal benefit that is priceless. Obviously, you can't put an economic number on that.
No, you can't. So it's what a great example, and it's nice to see that you're doing such good for the world, quite frankly. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about and ask Chai to spend a little bit of time on Women in Cloud. So as I mentioned, it's a not-for-profit initiative that we've co-founded with numerous other individuals. One of the things that we've done is really started working with some business-to-business owners to help them really accelerate their path to the cloud. And I know that some of them have IoT scenarios that they're working in as well. Chai, would love it if you could just give us a little bit of detail in terms of what some of these organizations or businesses are doing, and how can folks get involved if they're interested?
So, Carrie, Women in Cloud was an initiative that we had to pull together because of our personal experience. The experience was, as a woman or a female tech entrepreneur, it's extremely hard to get access to funding, access to customers, and access to resources, and it's really extremely hard. So as part of, when you think about it, what we recognize is when you are a startup and you want to really start building a business in a channel, and the distribution is the key for success, we have to really think about is an initiative that really drives that acceleration for any female tech entrepreneur. So when we put together the initiative, we said we have to do three things. One is really create access to advisors, access to architects, access to resources, and how do we make it easier and fast through the introduction or through opportunity circle that they're working together. The second one, which we really put together, was the Accelerator, which is a cloud accelerator, which really is a 6-month initiative because you really need to think about a newer business model, or the way you do business with a customer is you're co-creating, co-partnering with them, and then you're going after a problem together, and then you really you're bringing something to the table. You're really not selling. You're actually working with them to really drive a solution. So that Accelerator was put together in collaboration with Microsoft and HPE, and really to have access to the intelligent edge as well as intelligent cloud, and also all the data tools that requires you to really build a business. And the third one is really providing thought leadership content and thought leadership education so that these women who are going through the journey have the right kind of education to build a business. So as part of some of the solutions that we have seen that's getting addressed is around in the retail space. If you're really thinking about wayfinding, thinking about organizing your products in a way that the customer can easily buy based on their business environment or a home environment, so you can stylize your solution or stylize your room using all the products. And so we have solutions for that. We are also seeing solutions around businesses who actually need is marketing automation, and these solutions are built on cloud. So these are the solutions that are built by many of the companies who are really thinking about marketing automation. And we also have people who are spending a lot of time in healthcare, from as simple as driving is an effective digital platform for menopause management. And then we have is Day Saver, where they're thinking about scheduling solutions and really making a practice very successful. So we have a plethora of tools which are all built on cloud, and they're working through to really work in partnership with bigger brands like HP and Microsoft to really bring the customer together. So the way they can get involved is 3 ways. The first one is really, you can become a mentor. So raise your hand and say, I want to be a mentor. Then you can mentor these businesses and become their champions. Second, partner with us. There are many ways you can really provide your thought leadership. You can provide your ideas. You can come in with the funding. So there are many ways you can partner to really drive the momentum so the female tech entrepreneurs have access to the cloud opportunities. And third is if you're a woman and you're thinking about need an acceleration for your business, we are asking you to join the Women in Cloud Accelerator. We are going to open up that channel for the second cohort, which will start in September. And they can all go to womenincloud.com and they can get all the information.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much, Chai. If there are any other questions that folks have, please type it into the question bar. That would be great. I guess what we'd love to do now is, if there are no further questions, we'd love to just spend a little bit of time and wrap up. And Tom, I'd ask you, is there anything, so if there were one or two things that you would say to somebody that's trying to build their IoT solution or their IoT business, what would your two recommendations be to them?
Only two. Okay, I'll limit it to two. Number one. Number one is focus and narrow down. It's interesting to hear people talk about IoT as if it's a single thing. What's your IoT strategy? What are you doing in IoT? What are you doing with IoT? This and that. Listen, IoT is like cuisine. It'd be like me asking you, tell me all the food you've eaten in the last 10 years and what's your food strategy? What is it? Breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner? Is it Italian? Is it Chinese? Is it fusion? You get the point, right? So you got to narrow down, and you got to start small. Start with the things and controlling things, or controlling the business around things, and figure out how that can help you. There's a reason why IBM bought the Weather Channel, because weather is a thing. Now, they can't control the weather necessarily, but they control businesses associated with the weather, and you know what they are. Tourism, for example, is one, as well as farming and agriculture, travel. So, and then the second one, that's one. And then the second one is know that the cloud is the first off-premise, right? The first off-prem. The edge is the other off-prem, okay? So now there's a lot going to happen at the edge. Don't think it's just a place to collect data and send to the cloud. In fact, we're building miniature clouds all over the world at edges. That's our strategy. In fact, I think we need to start an organization called Women at the Edge, because the edge is its own ecosystem. That's my point here. And know that. Don't just think it has to be connected to cloud. Now, it should be in many ways. It must be in many ways. But if you are a large oil company, who I talked to this morning, I talked to the CEO of a large oil company, and he told me, I don't even have a cloud connection. Okay? And therefore, eventually we'll take stuff to the cloud, right? It can be done in a stored forward or even a sneaker net or hand-carried way to the cloud. But on many oil rigs, there's not a cloud connection, or there's not enough security. So think edge, because that's where the action is going to be, in addition to the cloud. I don't necessarily mean in lieu of here, but in addition. Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. Chai, what about yourself?
So there are many recommendations, but when you're thinking about like a IoT solution, as Tom was talking about, is definitely you need to know what the thing is and what is the way you are going to control and manage the thing to really drive greater good and a societal impact. The way we have seen is when you think about building is a case for change. I always say start with a case of change, really understand what the change you are trying to make and how the technology can be adopted to make that change happen. Start small and have the right set of people around you, because what we have seen for a smart tourism, it started with 3 people. By the time we went through the transformation in the last 6 months, we have like 150 people involved across the world who are contributing and collaborating to make it happen. So make sure you know the people you're working with, build a case for change, and go ahead and drive the transformation. And I love the idea of women at the edge. That may be a next idea, Tom. We will take on that one.
Hey, very good. And
thank you, Chaitra. So I guess just to wrap it up, there's a lot of information out there on the web around HPE, IoT innovations. if you're looking to build a smart tourism solution, and then, of course, if you really want to make sense of your data, I would ask that, our emails are available to you, and please do reach out to us, any or all of us, and we promise we will respond back and would love to have additional dialogue with folks. With that, I'd like to close off the call today and thank everybody for attending, and look forward to engaging in our next webinar. And Chaitra and Tom, thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Carrie.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.